Lance Stroll has officially taken the title of most Q1 exits in F1 history with 75 in 173 races. That's a 43% chance that in every qualifying session he's been a part of that he goes out in Q1. And instead of admitting his failures, this guy goes straight to deflecting. He word for word said, "Put the McLaren drivers in the Sauber for 10 years and they will have the most Q1 exits. It's car dependent." Now, he probably isn't completely wrong in saying that, but what's even the correlation? Now, the Sauber is definitely the worst car in the field by a long shot right now, but both Nico Hulkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto have made it out of Q1 the same amount of times that Lance Stroll has this season. Also, keep in mind, Stroll hasn't been in the worst car every year of his career. The only season that you can really say his car was incapable of making out of Q1 on normal occurrences was 2018 with Williams and 2022 with Aston Martin. The rest of the years, he was in a car that was well capable of making it out of Q1. And actually, in all of those years, the car that he was in ended up on the podium or one spot away from it from the other driver on the team. The only real argument you can make for him is that he's currently beating Fernando Alonso this year. Stroll does have 10 points to Alonso's 8, but Alonso's had 3 retirements, which 2 of them are mechanical failures. Also, Alonso's outqualified Stroll at every single race this season, so it does really show how unlucky he has been. But the only reason he's still in F1 to this day is his dad. Lawrence Stroll's been paying for this kid all the way through the junior categories, and it's absurd. Now, we don't really know the exact figures, but I'm going to give you a breakdown of what I found from a user named Raceful on Reddit. Lawrence paid for Lance to be a part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, being a part of the Florida Winter Series, and 2 seasons of Euro F3 at Prema with tons of private simulator work. Also, Lawrence apparently spent the money to get F1 level engineers to join that Prema team to help supplement Lance, which is crazy. To put icing on the cake, when there wasn't enough space for him on the Euro F3 grid, Lawrence paid for a full season of GP2 for Antonio Giovinazzi just to make space for Lance. Think of how crazy that is. There's current F2 drivers from last season like Zach O'Sullivan who are part of driver academies and are struggling for funding to participate in F2, and Lawrence just threw a wad of cash at Giovinazzi just to make room for his son. After that, Lawrence had enough of the junior categories, so he sent Lance straight to F1 and paid 80 million euros just to get Lance 2 seasons at Williams. Through all the mid performances he had, there's a set number of money that can fix all of that, and that worked all the way through Lance's early career at Williams. But then Lawrence decided he had enough of his monthly subscription to Williams, so he decided to just buy a team for his son in the form of Force India, which he rebranded to Racing Point, and then now what's Aston Martin. Once again, though, we don't really have a true idea of the price of the Aston Martin investment, but we can estimate the figure of everything except for that. It's assumed that through the junior categories in Williams, that Lance Stroll had around 150 million euros spent on him to make his career for F1 possible for the first 2 seasons of it, before his father bought a whole team. Let's put that into perspective. Another driver who came into F1 and had the pay driver moniker, but outgrew it when he started to perform, was Lando Norris. With Norris's dad having a good amount of money with his company Pure Electric, he did spend a good amount of money on Lando's early career. Full seasons in Ginetta Jr., MSA Formula, Formula Renault Euro Cup, Formula Renault NEC, and the Toyota Racing Series total around €1 million before Lando was signed to the McLaren Young Driver Program, which funded him from there. That would mean that Lance had 150 times the amount of money spent on him to make his F1 dream possible. And you'd think after all that money being spent on him and his dreams coming true through the swipe of his dad's credit card that he would finally be happy to be in F1. But no, the only vibe that Lance gives off is that he doesn't want to be there and that his dad is forcing it. Part of me believes that Lance is just staying in Formula One because of the amount of money his dad sunk into it and it's too late to pull out now, but he isn't really too good at hiding it. Not that it was very believable, but in the summer break of 2023, Lance was rumored to make a career change to professional tennis. Now, Stroll was a big tennis talent when he was younger, but being rumored to leave F1 in favor of tennis career this late in his life, it's crazy. His interviews are even worse, though. He gives short answers and doesn't seem to care at all, and constantly looks like he just wants to go home.
Okay, sorry for the language there. What is not clicking for you behind the wheel at the moment?
I don't know.
And how does this change your mindset for the weekend? Is it now a test session? Are you going to go for it in the sprint?
Keep driving.
He also just had like the most random crash out to where he was pushing his trainer in the garage, but that's mild compared to what else is said. After qualifying at the Spanish GP, where Lance had underperformed with another Q1 exit, Stroll apparently had a meltdown in the garage where he threw objects and swore at team members, and he also damaged his helmet after throwing it at a wall, causing €15,000 of damage. Crofty even says that Lance Stroll has been seen punching walls in the past, and the apparent wrist pain that he had from the 2023 incident might actually be caused by him punching a wall in the paddock. But the whole wrist pain thing was a cover up. And the worst part of it all is that he withdrew after qualifying, so no one could take his place. The only opportunity we really had to see Felipe Drugovich in an F1 race, but no, we can't have anyone else in that car. But if you think all of his issues are off the track, you'd once again be wrong. Some of the crashes Lance has on track are genuinely mind boggling. For example, look at this crash from the 2022 Australian GP qualifying.
Looking at his mirrors.
Are you okay?
Car's destroyed.
That's gearbox and the whole lot. And what an expensive shunt.
I rather think Lance Stroll was looking in his mirrors.
You can literally see Stroll turn his head to the mirror to check, and Stroll just
Until
like,
now. Good luck, everybody else.
it takes genuine skill to make Latifi look like he's the one who's in the right, but leave it to Stroll to make that happen. This is like the F1 equivalent to someone stepping on the back of your shoe, and then when you turn around to look at who did it, they just pretend like nothing happened. I mean, this guy's the same spatial awareness as someone who's blind and deaf. These are only a couple of the incidents he's had over the years, and I can promise you there are plenty more that I could include. After all these things, you'd expect everyone on the grid to hate him, and it would be pretty just, but no. If you remember back when Alonso joined Aston Martin, he said Lance has the potential to be a future world champion. I'm sorry, what? We're talking about the same guy that had a tight teammate battle with Sergei Sirotkin. But that's not it. Esteban Ocon compared Lance Stroll to both Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. And when asked about him being a pay driver, he said, "We all raced against each other, and Lance was definitely a part of that. It's not money that got him there. There might be easier ways to get into the sport, but in the end, you don't bring money into the car." Now let's be honest here for a second. After Stroll's 2018 season, if he was brought on board for potential at Williams, he would have been dropped just like his teammate Sirotkin. He would have never seen the light of the sport again, but that doesn't seem to matter when his dad buys a team. He isn't bringing money into the car because the car is his money. That's what makes matters worse, because now he's just hogging up a spot on the grid. In a series where it claims to have 20 of the best drivers on the planet, it just doesn't. I constantly see drivers being linked to Aston Martin like Yuki Tsunoda with the Honda ties or Max Verstappen following Adrian Newey, but I just know it'll never happen. Alonso's signed until the end of 2026, so the seat that would be replaced would be Lance's, but every year it's somehow still advertised that the seat's up for grabs even though we know it's not going to happen. But I guess it's not the complete worst having Lance around. He really does provide a wild card to each weekend. Will he miraculously score points? Probably not. Will he have another baffling incident, or will he have another highly publicized moment all on the media headlines? I mean, there's only one other driver who played the series like Stroll has for one season, and the only way we could get rid of him was with his country being in a war, which I don't think will happen for Stroll. Unless